Okay, well the job I'm about to show you how to do today is how to replace the passenger side headlamp lens on a Volvo S80, which as you can see from this is an ex-registration plate. It's around about 1999 or 2000 thereabouts. I'm not entirely sure of the actual year. So I'll take you through the steps that I've followed and hopefully it'll be of some use to you. So this here is the offending article, and the main problem with replacing the lens is that in order to gain access to the bolts underneath here at the lower end of the headlamp, you need to remove the front bumper. So as usual, what starts off as you think a 5-minute job ends up as anything but. So yeah, here we go. As you can see at the top here, there are 2 bolts here and here that secure the top of the headlamp, but it's no use just undoing those. That won't get you anywhere at all. So the first thing you have to do is to remove the bumper. Now the bumper is secured using a number of fixings. Moving round to the wheel arch, first of all down here in this area here there are 4 rivets which need to be drilled out in order to remove the rear end of the bumper. So that's the first thing I'm going to have a go at, and back in a minute and let you know how I got on. Incidentally, I don't think it's necessary to remove the road wheel. I've just turned the wheel onto full lock, which hopefully will give me enough space to get access onto the tops of those 4 rivets and drill them out. So let's see how I get on. Okay, I've got the drill ready. I'm going to use just a little battery powered drill, which I hope will be enough. And I'm starting off with a reasonably small drill in order to go through the very centre of the rivets. I may need to open it out after I've done the first hole, but I'll see how I get on. Okay, well that took about 30 seconds. It was a very quick and easy job to actually drill through the rivets with a pilot hole. I don't think the hole's quite big enough. So I'm now going to open it up with a slightly bigger drill. Stay tuned. Okay, well that was a lot more straightforward than I thought it was going to be. It's only taken me a few minutes to drill those out with my small battery powered drill. I put a bit of green tarpaulin on the ground just to make things a bit more comfortable on the old knees. The ground's a bit sharp if you don't prepare it, and just makes the whole job a lot easier if you make yourself a little bit comfortable. So the 4 rivets at the back have now been drilled out, and hopefully when I release the rest of the bumper, we'll be able to get on. The point about this really is that what we don't want to have to do is to remove the entire bumper. I think if we were replacing both headlamp lenses, you would have to do that. You would have to remove the bumper in its entirety, but hopefully that won't be necessary. We'll be able to just swing it out of the way far enough in order to gain access to those awkward lower bolts underneath the headlamp, which I'll show you when I get to that point. So anyway, the next stage is to remove this quarter light trim, this piece of plastic along here, which is just underneath the headlamp and just underneath the headlamp wiper. It's very easy to remove. I did that last night just as a test. So you just get a screwdriver in here, around about in this region here, and just gently prise it off. So that's what I'll do next, and we'll see what that reveals. Stay tuned. Okay, well I've started to unclip this piece of plastic trim, which as you can see here is now pretty loose and flapping free, but I've realised of course that before you go any further you need to remove the headlamp wiper arm. Now that's just a nut on the end of the wiper arm, but it's a good idea to get a pair of mole grips on the shaft as well, otherwise your turning torque as you try to undo the nut is felt by the motor, which is not a clever idea. So what I'm going to do is get a pair of mole grips on the back of that if I can, and then twist with a spanner and hopefully remove that wiper arm. Back in a moment. Okay, yeah, quick shot of just how I'm doing this. There's an end cap over the end of the wiper arm which shrouds the nut. It's an 8mm nut, and I've just got an 8mm box spanner on it, and I'm just unscrewing that now. Let's say that's 8mm. It actually came undone pretty easily. There was no problem undoing that. Now I've got to prise the wiper arm off the wiper shaft. That's a compression. That's an interference fit on there, as you probably know. So I'm going to put the camera down and have a go at coaxing that off. It probably helps to put a little bit of penetrating oil on at this point, or ideally put some penetrating oil on this the night before, which gives it a chance to all soak in and just generally make life a little bit easier when you come to do the job. A lot of it really is about preparation. Okay, so hopefully you can see that I've now got the wiper arm off. It came off quite easily, as you might expect from a quality car like a Volvo. It's not only got a wiper, it's got a washer as well. So you can see there's a rubber tube that goes down to a spray nozzle in the wiper arm. So I'm just going to have to remove that so that I can actually get the wiper arm completely detached from the vehicle, which I'm about to do now. Okay, so that's the wiper arm now completely detached. If you don't believe me, there it is down on the floor. Incidentally, I bought a new pair of wiper arms, wiper blades to fit when I've done this job, because what's happened is the problem with this headlamp, as you can see, it has quite a severe fracture over on that side, and the road grime is starting to get in, and it's an MOT failure. So it's not one of those things, it's optional. You've got to bite the bullet and do this job, otherwise you've got no car. So the next step is to proceed with removing this quarter trim. Now, the thing with all of these plastic trims is you've got to be careful how you get them off, because you don't want to damage them in the process. The car is 15 years old. The plastics start to harden, and if you're not careful you end up damaging the plastic, and it never quite goes back the same. So a little bit of care in just teasing out that plastic trim, which is what I'm about to do now, and hopefully back to you in a moment. Okay, well, the plastic trim is pretty much off, and you can see here that the light also, the side light, whatever it is, quarter light, indicator light, I'm not sure what it is pretty much free. So I'm just going to carry on and coax the rest of it off, hopefully without damaging any of the plastic tabs, and then we'll be able to move the bumper away from the vehicle and get access to the headlamp bolts. Back soon. Okay, slight change of mind here, because it may not actually be necessary to completely remove the rear end of this, because we only need to really get this far away from the car in order to gain access to the mounting bolts. Now, the bumper mounting bolts, you see there are two cutouts here through the bumper. Now, according to the Volvo drawings, there are 2 bolts inside there, and then again, according to the book, there's a 3rd bolt which is down here underneath the radiator grille. Just here, which I can see as a bolt. Now, according to the manual, there are 2 bolts at the top here, 1, 2, but actually I only see 1, so it's another case of where theory and the practice don't quite line up. So I'm hoping that it is only this one here that needs to be removed. I can't actually see any bolt inside there, so I'm going to get a box spanner on it, socket, and remove this bolt and this lower fixing bolt here, which is just underneath the grille, and hopefully the bumper will then come free. Stay tuned. Okay, so first of all is upper bolt, which is an M12, which, as you can see, I've got it on a nice long socket extension, and hopefully a bit of a twist and I'll be able to remove this 12mm head bolt back soon. Okay, that came out remarkably easy. There's the offending article, 12mm head bolt, which has come out of there. It wasn't very tight at all, actually, surprisingly untight. So with that success, I'm now going to attempt to undo the lower one just down there, which you can hopefully see in the picture there, which I think is the only other mounting bolt for the bumper, but we're about to find out. Okay, so that's successfully removed that lower bolt from in there. You can see the empty hole where the bolt used to be, and just to prove it, there are the two bolts on the ground, both the same size, which is always nice because you haven't got to remember which one goes where when you come to put it all back together. Okay, I'm now going to attempt and see if I can just move the bumper forward and just see how much movement I've got on the bumper, or whether there are actually still any other fixings that I need to remove. Okay, I've stupidly, not unusual for me, forgotten that there are some other fixings which fix the top of the bumper stroke radiator grille into the front of the vehicle. That's these ones along the front here. Again, if you look in the Volvo the Volvo service manual, it talks about 11, but actually there aren't 11. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, there would be 6 if they had a full complement, but whoever had this vehicle before me has managed to lose a couple along the way. Now, the way to get these out, if you're not knowledgeable about these things, which I wasn't till I tried, is you have to push down the centre part of the plastic spigot thing, and that then allows you to remove those without breaking them. One of the problems, aggravating things about working on cars, is all these plastic fixings that over time they break and they never seem to all go back, which is obviously what's happened here, because we haven't got 6, we've only got 4. But hey, there you go. So I'm going to have a go now at removing those 4 of the 6 fixings that should be there, and be back to you soon. Okay, well, that was gratifyingly easy to do, although as you can see I've managed to break another one, so we're going to be down to just 3 when it comes to putting the car back together again. It's one of those jobs that in an ideal world we'd go along to the local dealer and buy another 3, but again, it's one of those things that probably never gets done. But I'll try and have the self-discipline to go along to a Volvo dealer and buy a few more of those fixings, so that we can get back up to the full complement of 6. Anyway, enough of that. The bumper's now pretty free. As you can, if I move this forward, you can see now that there's enough space to get in around the headlamp shell to remove the bolts. Now, as far as I'm aware, there are 4 bolts that fix the headlamp unit in. The 2 at the top that I mentioned earlier, sorry, not those 2, those 2 fix the front bulkhead. These 2 here, there are 1 and 2 bolts there, which I think are the headlamp fixings, and then there's a 3rd one down here, which actually you can get to. If I'd have known it, you can actually get to it by going in through this light assembly. So that's the 3rd one, and then there is a 4th one somewhere over here on the left hand side, which I can't quite locate yet. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove the 3 that I can definitely see, and then give it a bit of a waggle and see where that leads. Okay, that's the first one removed. That's this one from down in here. It's a M10 head bolt. I'm using an M10 ring spanner. I've actually had these ring spanners since I had my first motorbike. At the age of 16 years old I bought these, and without giving away too much about my age, that is now over 40 years ago. So I'm very, very pleased to have kept this one set of spanners for such a long time, and they're still in perfectly serviceable condition. Anyway, enough of that, onwards, and I'm going to remove the top two retaining bolts now for the headlamp. So that's this one here and this one here, and once again I'd stress it's not the larger bolts here and here, they secure the front bulkhead to the main chassis of the car, so you really don't want to mess with those. Back soon. Okay, so that's removed those three fixing bolts. They're the same, they're M10, but they're slightly different sizes. The longer one of the three that you can see there is the one from the side, from the end, and the other two are the top fixings. So just worth remembering for when you come to put it back together to get the right bolts in the right place. Okay, I'm now going to give the headlamp a waggle and see how free it is and if there are any more fixings. Back soon. Okay, well, I gave the headlamp a bit of a waggle and there was a bit of a crack of plastic, so I don't know whether there was a fourth fixing, but if there was, there isn't any more. I got a feeling that the offending crack might have come from this area here. I don't know if you can see that. That looks like there was once a fixing there, but there isn't any more. But I can't quite see where it's come from. Anyway, never mind. The headlamp is pretty free now. As you can see, you can wobble it, and I've removed some of the electrical connectors. I'm just really now going to make an assessment of how much further I need to remove the headlamp, because all I really need to do is get access to the glass, which involves taking off these spring clips here. So I don't want to disassemble this car any more than I have to, so I'm going to see what's the minimum I can get away with in order to get the new headlamp glass on. Back soon. Okay, well, I've removed a couple of electrical connectors, not all of them, because I think I've now got enough freedom here to be able to replace the headlamp glass. It's a case of popping off those spring clips, fitting the new headlamp glass, and in the famous words, reassembly is the reverse sequence of disassembly. So that's what we'll be doing next. But anyway, I'm going to now have a go at removing the spring clips that hold the headlamp lens in position. Back soon. Okay, there is actually just one other piece of plastic trim. I'm not quite sure what it's for. That's this bit here, but this clips into here via a number of plastic clips. I've got no idea what the function of it is. Doesn't seem to do very much at all. Maybe some kind of weather shield or something, but anyway, that's very easy to remove, so we'll remove that and place that over there, and now there should be now nothing stopping us unpopping those spring clips and getting the old headlamp glass off. Okay, so I've removed what I hope is all of the spring clips, which has now allowed the headlamp glass to become free. What I'm not sure about is whether there are some additional clips underneath here. If there are, then we need to disassemble the indicator light, which is a separate cluster within this headlamp assembly, but hopefully we won't need to do that. Hopefully we'll be able to get the glass out and the new one in without having to do that, but I won't find that out until I try. The extent of the damage now can be seen here. This is the old headlamp glass, and this is that's the extent of the damage. So it's good. It's good to get to this point, because it kind of makes it all worthwhile when you can remove the offending article which, as I say, will prevent you from getting an MOT on a vehicle. It's no longer legal to have cracked or damaged headlamps in any way. I shall put the camera down and remove the rest of this glass without hopefully cutting my hand to pieces. Be back soon. Okay, well there we are. That's the old headlamp glass now removed. I don't think there were any additional fixings under this end. If there were, they've pinged off and gone somewhere never to be found again. But anyway, here is the broken headlamp. That's the rubber seal, which we will be replacing as well when I work out how to do it. So Volvos are, of course, nothing if not complicated. This looks like quite a complicated headlamp cluster here with various bits and pieces of plastic and stuff, which hopefully I'll be able to get back together again. The inside of here is well worth a clean out whilst you've got the opportunity, with the headlamp off, which, let's face it, doesn't happen very often. Give that a bit of a clean up, especially since, because it was cracked, there's all kinds of muck and moisture got in there, so it's well worth a bit of a clean up. So at this stage here, I'm going to take a break, go and make a cup of tea, and then we'll pick up after that. Also charge my phone up, because I don't want this video to stall in the middle, because I've got no idea how to splice two videos together. Okay, back soon. Okay, so here is the new headlamp glass. I bought it on the internet. It was about £30 to £35. Very nice. I didn't go to a Volvo main agent for obvious reasons. So this is the new headlamp glass, which I'm hopefully going to get in without breaking. It does come with a new rubber seal, which you can see here, and it also comes with a new set of spring clips to replace those spring clips that ping off and are never seen again. I've also, as I say, got a new set of wiper blades, because the old wiper was destroyed as a result of rubbing over the broken glass. So when I finish this job, I'll be quite pleased, because I'll not only have new headlamp but new wipers as well that will work a lot better. So all in all, a good job well done, if I can get it finished. Back soon. Yeah, and of course this is just nothing whatsoever to do with Volvos. This is just a little picture of my cat whilst I have a cup of tea. Back soon. Okay, well, as always happens, you get to the crucial part of the job and it starts to rain. So I've had to cover it all up and abandon it for the time being. I'll be back again soon, but I'm going to make use of the time whilst I'm rained off to do something inside, which I'll just show you about. So I head inside. That's my beloved over there, my Suzuki motorcycle. That's another story. Okay, this is the rubber strip that needs to go into the headlamp to give it the water seal. The problem is, how do you keep it in position whilst you clip the headlamp lens in position? So the answer is a bit of double-sided tape. So whilst it's raining outside, I'm going to make use of the time to put a little bit of double-sided tape along the back of the rubber strip, and that'll be just enough to hold it in place, long enough to get the headlamp lens on and the clips in position. So it doesn't have to be a terribly strong adhesive, because it's only there to hold it in place long enough to allow you to get the lens on and clipped into place. So I'm going to have a go at that and be back soon. Okay, so here's what I'm doing. I've measured out a length of just ordinary cheap double-sided tape. I think this comes from Poundland, just ordinary cheap tape, and laid that out along the bench, and I'm going to cut off a length, the right length, and just stick it to the rubber V-strip. Back soon. Okay, so what I've done here, I've taken the double-sided tape and I've stuck it along the entire length of the rubber sealing strip. You don't have to be terribly tidy how you do it, because the only purpose of it is to hold the rubber strip in position in the slot on the headlamp whilst, or long enough for you to allow you to get the headlamp lens on and clipped into place. Because it started raining, I've had to cover over the car because of course this won't stick if the headlamp is wet, so I'm going to have to wait until it stops raining before I can go out and clip this on, stick this on. But what I will do next is just peel off the white backing paper, and then hopefully that'll leave a nice sticky grommet strip. And as I say, don't have to be terribly fussy about it, but I would recommend, before you attempt this job, get yourself down to somewhere and buy a reel of this self-adhesive tape. As I say, this is the stuff I use. It's about £1 a roll, so not a great expense. Okay, back soon. Okay, so that's the sealant strip now. I've removed the backing paper, which is over there, and yeah, I'm pretty pleased with that. That's pretty clever idea of mine, I think. I've stuck it on end to end, so effectively turned a non-sticky strip into a self-adhesive strip. So as soon as it stops raining out there, I can get out there and see how effective my little clever idea is. The kids think I'm crazy. They say, "Dad, you know, take your car to a garage like everybody else does." Well, I reckon if I'd have taken this to a Volvo main agent to have this job done, I probably wouldn't have got any change out of £200. As it is, all it's cost me really is about £35 for the headlamp gel and a bit of time. So, and the satisfaction of doing a job yourself. Anyway, enough of that. When it stops raining, I shall go back outside and have a go at fitting this sealant strip, and let you know how I get on.